Writers, I am so impressed by all of the amazing writing that I have been seeing you do. It's remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. I I am beyond beyond impressed, I must say. So, I loved seeing May's picture of Jojo and all of the colors and details, and you had Jojo with Jojo's dog. I your your picture of your JoJo doll looked exactly like her. Crazy. You looked at all of those shapes, you looked at all of those details, and you added those shapes and details in there. Beautiful work. And Sammy, your green blanket looks so snuggly. I could tell that it was something super special that you like to hold close. And I don't blame you for wanting to snug that and smell it because it looks like it's really cozy. Nelson, that owl, I have to agree, is a pretty awesome drawing of an owl. I know you said that it's the best that you've ever done. And I don't know how it could be better. It's perfect. You looked at all of the shapes, you added the details of the feathers. I loved how you looked at each part of your owl and then drew it. And there it was, perfect on the page. I could tell exactly what it was. And Anna, your favorite book? Oh, books are one of my favorite things too. So I'm glad that you picked that object to write about. And don't forget, I saw all of your labels on there. So I'm glad that you had those labels in there. It's amazing the drawing and writing that you're able to do when you look at those parts and you think about those parts and their shapes and what a reader might think is important to see. We see that you did that in your labels. So perfect. Awesome work, everybody. Today, I want to remind you that Mrs. Torres and I and our friend came on and told you all about how sometimes writers, when they think they're done, they've only just begun, right? Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm done with this. But then I get an idea and I add a little bit more. And then I add a little bit more. And then I add a little bit more. So Mrs. Torres and I are always going to ask you to make sure that you add more to your pictures and that you add more to your words, because sometimes when we think we're done, really, we're just beginning a masterpiece. Masterpiece. So I'm going to show you something today. Now, you saw that I drew my picture of the bird that was special to me, my glass bird that I have from my friend, right? And I drew the parts, and then I labeled some of the parts of my picture as well. Now, I didn't color it yet, and that's one of the things that we can do as writers. When we think we're done, we can add color. And the same thing is true when you're illustrating, is to look at all the details in your object and make sure you use those details in your picture. Don't just color the whole thing pink or color the whole thing purple. Make sure you add those details into your picture and your writing. Okay, now something sometimes happens when we say, when you think you're done, you've just begun. Sometimes our writers go back and they start to color, but then the scribble monster takes over and colors over all these different parts of the page. And then the picture is no longer really the picture that you started with. You need to tell that scribble monster, you stay away from my picture, right? Adding more does not mean just putting color all over the place or adding squiggles or just filling up the space with things that don't really go along with your object or your writing, your topic, what you're writing about. So today I'm going to show you how you can add more to your picture and your words just by thinking about, what does it do and where does it go? What does it do and where does it go? Now, my bird It doesn't do much except for make me smile when I look at it. It's just pretty, but I can draw where it goes. And you know what? My bird usually goes on my bookshelf that's in my living room. So I'm going to draw my bookshelf, and my bookshelf is tall and it's shaped like a rectangle. So I'm going to make sure that I have my bird sitting on something that is tall and shaped like a rectangle. And it has these different shelves that have glass doors. So I'm going to draw a shelf here. Has a glass door. Actually, I'm going to erase that because it sits on the top, and then the next one has a glass door, and then it goes on a little bit lower than what my picture is showing. So here it is sitting on my shelf, and on the shelf there's a bunch of books inside. So I might draw out some books. I have some books laying this way. And then also on my shelf, I have a picture frame that it sits next to. And in that picture frame is a picture of my family. And I'm not going to draw the whole picture of my family, but you get the idea that that's where the picture frame is. And then I have a candle sitting in the front, and it's in a jar. So I'm going to make my jar candle here. Do you see how I'm adding more to the background? My picture frame, and I get my picture. And this is my candle. Candle, right? And I'm starting to take up more of the page, and I can add colors to the things that I'm adding. There's a little dish that Olivia made me that goes here. It has swirlies on it. And right, dish, ish. Okay. So you can add details to the backgrounds of your pictures just by thinking about what does it do and where does it go, right? So Sammy, that cozy blanket, what does it do? It keeps you warm, right? So maybe you can draw you behind that blanket, right? Where does it go? Does it go everywhere with you? Maybe pick one spot and draw those things in the background so that we can see where it goes with you. Doesn't that make sense? Out of your book, what does it do? We know what a book does, but where do you like to read? Do you like to read in a cozy beanbag chair or on a couch or on your bed? What can you put in your background that shows us how that object relates to you? Does that make sense? I hope so. I want you to give it a go. Tell that scribble monster, no scribbling on my paper. Absolutely not. You may not come to my paper. And add those details into your picture. What does it do? Where does it go? Good luck. Off you go.